Hi there, and welcome to episode 12 on Let's Talk Wellness podcast. The vision of this podcast is to empower individuals with knowledge on holistic wellness and self-care. My name is Shalini. I'm a corporate tech professional, I'm a yoga and meditation instructor, an IIN health coach, and a Reiki healer. Today, I am super excited to have a wonderful guest speaker, Dr. Ellen, who's a best-selling, award-winning author and an inspirational speaker. Dr. Ellen is a PhD psychologist, a registered dietitian nutritionist, national board certified health and wellness coach, and mindful self-compassion teacher. Known as the Midlife Whisperer, she helps women get unstuck and have the energy, confidence, and clarity to make their next chapter their best chapter. A best-selling, award-winning author, inspirational speaker, Dr. Ellen is an expert in women's well-being, and she sits on the medical board of the National Menopause Foundation. Dr. Ellen has appeared on Extra, the Food Network, the NBC World News, and has been quoted in Psychology Today, Forbes, and Eating Well. She's written for Self, Better Homes and Gardens, and Good Housekeeping. Her latest book is Rock Your Midlife, 7 Steps to Transform Yourself and Make Your Next Chapter Your Best Chapter. Thank you so much for joining us here today, Dr. Ellen.
It's great to be here, Shal. I'm also a Reiki master, so I didn't put that in my bio, but hey, we've got that
Amazing.
in common.
I can already feel the energy. So yes, I'm so excited and first really humbled to have you on the show as I've just started this podcast series. So before we just get into our wonderful topic of the day, which is self-compassion, elevating body image and wellness goals, I would love for you to share with the audience how you even got started on this wellness journey.
I went back to school to become a registered dietitian 30 years ago. And after I became a dietitian, everyone who was coming to me were all midlife women. And so I started this journey of helping midlife women. But as I continued with my wellness practice, I realized I didn't have all of the tools I needed to help people make meaningful well-being changes. So I knew to say, eat this, don't eat this, which actually back then was very different than what we believe now. But I didn't know how to do the behavioral things. So from being a dietitian, I had a career in the media. My ex-husband and I were the cooking couple. We were celebrity chefs, but then I became a personal fitness trainer. While I was being a trainer, I realized, found out all about this whole area called coaching, which was like, wow, now I get to figure out how to create a toolkit to get people to go from A to Z fast with more ease and more fun and more joy. And then I became a PhD psychologist, which is really where I learned all about self-compassion. It was the topic of my dissertation. When I was getting my PhD, I realized, oh my gosh, the media makes women, and I think men to some extent too, feel really bad about themselves and their bodies. And I really was on a quest to how do I get women to feel good about their bodies and themselves? And I know I came from a background where I loathe my body. I was that, person at the front of the room doing doing group exercise classes, right? Lifting those dumbbells over my head. And no matter what I did, no matter how little I ate, no matter how much I worked out, I loathe my body, and all my clients loathe their bodies. So I learned self-compassion as a technique to improve body image. And my research really showed that self-compassion reduces body shame, improves body satisfaction, self-worth based on appearance, and really makes people feel better about their bodies and themselves. So it changed my life. Huge 180 in the way that I coach now. When a woman comes to me, we really start with the self-compassion, and everything unfolds from there, because self-compassion essentially is treating yourself the way you would a good friend. And so you stop doing those things that insult your soul, and you start attracting all of the things that are in your best interest, what's truly good for you. So it's been life-changing for me, for my clients, for my work, and it's just such a beautiful way to fall in love with yourself and your body.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, I honestly feel this is a topic that is really what most of us need today because of just even young girls that I talk to, because I'm just part of some of these nonprofits, right? And when I go and talk to these young girls, trying to bring them into STEM and just, even just wellness in general, there's always this imposter syndrome or like the lack of confidence or just even, body image, right? And just that they're not enough. So I think it's so important, and I definitely feel it's like the need of the hour, just like a lot of other topics, right? Because it is so related to wellness. Because I just feel it's this mind-body connection, which is what we all want to get better at. So,
Yeah, we're sold this pack of lies around the whole wellness journey is supposed to be to look like this influencer. And even the influencer doesn't really look like that. And the people with the worst body image, the dancers, the models, the actresses have this terrible body image. And so we need to get away from doing these things for the weight loss and to look a certain way because we're heaping on this like, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough because we're starting with this, I'm not good enough. I need to be here to be okay with myself. When we take a breath and we go, I'm okay with how I am right now. And I want to take better care of myself because I love myself. I want to live a long life. I want to feel good. I don't want to get chronic diseases. Changes the whole equation when we're doing this, not because we hate our bodies, but because we love our bodies and ourselves. And that's the self-compassion piece that comes in. And what the research really shows is when you do this out of self-compassion, you go to the doctor more often, right? You
yeah.
eat better. You move your body because it feels good. You eat healthy food because it feels good. And the huge piece, I'm working with people, I work so much with emotional eating. If you're an emotional eater, reach out to me at the Midlife Whisperer because I find that we can get you away from the emotional eating because you're sad, you're afraid, you're nervous, you're anxious. And how many of us aren't anxious these days, right, with everything that's going on in the world? But if we can really take care of our emotions in a way that is efficacious, a way that really works, then we don't
Yep.
need the food. And then we can look at food and say, okay, I'm eating to be healthy. I'm eating because it's enjoyable to eat. But we need to kind of change the equation. And starting with self-compassion, that's what's so amazing about work. I start with self-compassion and everything moves from that place. People stop dieting. People stop beating themselves up. People stop hating themselves. It doesn't happen at once, but it
Hmm.
happens gradually over time. And it's a practice, just like yoga, just like Reiki. It's a
Hmm.
practice that we can constantly work to build to feel better about our bodies and ourselves.
Yes. Awesome. So before we even get into self-compassion and, just the topic in detail, I would love for you to share with the audience about your latest book and how did that journey happen?
Sure. So my latest book is Rock Your Midlife: 7 Steps to Transform Yourself and Make Your Next Chapter your best chapter. It's available on Amazon and all the places. So I wrote the book really for a couple of reasons. I think part of getting to know yourself at midlife is going back to when you were a kid. I always knew I wanted to be a writer. Yeah, this is my 5th book. I love writing. So as a way to express myself, I wanted to share with more women. As a coach, I can only coach so many people in my lifetime, and I wanted to write a book that would be very accessible, that thousands, hopefully millions of women could pick up and make changes. And I really felt that there wasn't a good book on the topic. I think midlife is getting a lot more attention now. Certainly menopause is getting more attention. I really felt like there was a need for a good book out there. And I really wanted to take my 30 years of experience and pour them into a book, tell my story, tell my client's story, and help more women rock their midlife.
Awesome. Yes, I totally think a lot of women need that. So it's amazing. I definitely need to get a copy and actually check out your book. Thank you so much. So with that, I would love to now just get into, a little more on just self-compassion, body image. So just to start this off, can you share a personal story or, maybe an example where self-compassion helped you or somebody to just shift their perspective on body image?
One of my, first clients came to me, and usually clients are coming to me and they really are feeling very disconnected from their bodies. When we're talking about body image, it has many components. So there's a visual component, how you see your body. There's a mental component, what you believe about your appearance. There's an emotional component, how you feel like in your body and kinesthetically, sensing your body as it's moving. And, I was working with this client. She's coming to me and she's dieting for years, chronic dieting, weight goes up, weight goes down, emotional eating, all of the things. And I said to her, her name's Beth. And I said, let's just shelve all of this worrying about your weight and diet and what to eat. And let's start with the self-compassion. And within just a couple weeks of time, she was really able to let go of this idealized idea that she had to be a certain way to be okay. And she started eating to take care of her body. She started moving because it felt good. And she started listening to that inner critic that was constantly telling her, you need to weigh less, you need to exercise more, you need to eat less, you need to be a certain weight to be acceptable. And she was really able to embrace herself, and the emotional eating went away, the self-loathing went away. She felt good, and she started to feel really beautiful too. She was like, wow, at 45, I feel better about myself and my body than I ever have felt. And we didn't do anything to change her body. We worked on that self-compassion. That's what I see over and over again. And again, my research showed that practicing self-compassion for as little as an hour a week reduced body shame, body dissatisfaction, self-worth based on appearance, and improved body appreciation. I've seen that in my own life. At 61, I love my body. I do videos in a bikini. I walk down the beach like in my 40s, 50s. Even when I was a personal trainer, I was totally cut up. There's no way I would have been comfortable in a bikini. But I feel totally good in my skin. So it really does work.
Awesome. And you also mentioned you did your PhD dissertation in this specific topic.
Yes,
Is that right?
my PhD I was lucky enough to have Kristen Neff, who is the whole pioneer in this area, on my dissertation committee, and she required me to learn self-compassion, to do the training, and I went on to become a mindful self-compassion teacher, and I did publish in it in the magazine Mindfulness.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so what are some practical strategies that listeners can implement just to cultivate self-compassion on a daily basis?
Yeah, well, let's start with
Especially when they have negative body image thoughts.
Sure. Well, let's talk about what self-compassion is. So self-compassion is essentially treating yourself the way you would a good friend. So you want to start to talk to yourself and your body the way you would a good friend. Would you say to a good friend, hey, honey, you look fat today? Oh my God, that outfit's awful on you. Your hair's a mess. So you start to change your posture, your tone of voice towards yourself. Think about, if I had a good friend who's going through this, how would I talk to her? And then you talk to yourself that way. And there are 3 elements to self-compassion, which are helpful to think about. The first is being kind rather than critical. So you're kind to yourself. You look at yourself in the mirror and you go, look at things that you like. Oh, you've got a great smile. Your hair looks great today. I love you in polka dots. You look amazing today, right? So you start to talk to yourself like a good friend, kind rather than critical. When you notice that voice of the self-critic, you're just like, okay, I am mindfully aware. I'm recognizing these thoughts that I have about myself, and maybe say, thank you very much. I appreciate you're trying to help me, because the self-critic's trying to help us. It's saying, you don't look so good, honey. You better change this thing so you'll be acceptable. But we need to put the self-critic aside and say thank you and bring in this voice of self-compassion. So it's changing the way you talk to yourself, being kind to yourself rather than critical. The second piece is common humanity. So common humanity is understanding that we all are imperfect beings. We all make mistakes. We all have flaws. I'm 61. I've got, age spots, and I've got, I've had breast cancer. So I've got scars all over the place and wrinkles. Our bodies are flawed, and that's okay. They're beautiful. It's what makes us unique. And so when we understand that being flawed is normal, especially if you're going through menopause, right? So menopause, we gain weight, we get wrinkles, our hair might start to thin and gray, and we notice, okay, this is normal. It's part of being human. And I think aging certainly beats the alternative. So you start to realize it's common humanity. We all are imperfect beings. No one has that perfect body. When I do an Instagram influencer thing and I'm trying to look good, which I try to do sometimes, it's fun. I'm have certain angles, and all of we influencers do that, right? We know, like, hold the gut and do different things, but we're imperfect, so you're embracing your imperfections, you're reframing your flaws instead of seeing them as failures, recognizing that they're part of the shared human experience. And the final piece is this mindfulness piece. You notice when you're stressed or struggling. So you notice, okay, I'm trying on a bathing suit, I'm looking in the mirror. Oh, this is hard. I've let myself go. Maybe I've just, gone through the holidays and I put on a bunch of weight and I'm feeling kind of bad about myself. So it's like, it's okay, honey. It's okay. What do you need right now? So you start to notice, you become mindfully aware of how you're feeling, and you ask yourself, what do I need? Another piece too is, set boundaries with media. So social media, if you're like constant, scrolling Instagram for the best diet. I'm here to say to you, there is no best diet. It's so trendy. One day it's keto, one day it's intermittent fasting, one day
Exactly.
it's paleo, one day it's vegan. We each have to figure out what's right for us. And that's a lot of what I do with clients. I work with something called human design to understand how you tick. So do what's right for you. Find the clothing that makes you feel beautiful. Surround yourself with people, whether that's online, offline, that you identify with. Like, I'm part of the whole Silver Sister community, which is this great supportive group of women who are all in various stages of embracing our natural hair color. So find people, if you've got a body type that isn't, a skinny mini, whether that, you're practicing yoga or looking for fashion, really set boundaries with social media and really change your feed so that you're surrounding yourself with things that you're seeing that really support you being you. And I would say the final thing too, there's not final, I mean, I could talk about this all day,
Of
but
course, yes.
self-care, right?
Yeah.
So I think so. I look at self-care as sort of one kind of bucket of self-compassion. I have my clients make a list of how you already care for yourself and how you'd like to care for yourself, thinking of the areas of body, mind, heart, spirit, and relationships. So body, it's like when I cook myself a beautiful meal, that's self-care. When I go for a walk, that's self-care. When I take a nap, when I read a book, when I, listen to beautiful music. So thinking about what are you doing for self-care? Self-care is not just about manis pedis, Self-care can be about journaling, can be about seeing a coach or a therapist. It can be doing nothing. So really doing more self-care. But I think the bottom line is treat yourself the way you would a good friend. And my first step in my book is be you.
Yeah.
Really embrace who you are because you're
Yeah.
amazing. If each of us was able to embrace our uniqueness and really appreciate that, the world would be a totally different place. So, everybody is different. Your body is beautiful the way that it is. And also be patient with yourself. It takes time. I didn't go from like, not feeling good about my body to where I am now. It's taken me, over a decade to get to this place.
Right. Yeah, I think, I mean, one of my next questions was how does this whole societal pressure and social media also impact this whole ability, right, to even practice self-compassion? And what steps can users take to counteract any of that influence?
Yeah, well, the media wants us to feel bad about ourselves, particularly women, because if we felt good about ourselves, we wouldn't buy these BS products. Now, I'm all about looking cute. I love that I look in the mirror and I like what I see. I'm not at all saying like do what makes you feel good. But the media on purpose triggers us and makes us feel that we're not good enough. You scroll Instagram, Instagram knows your pain points. And so they're showing you the things that are solving your pain points. Are those things really going to solve your pain points? Probably not. But
Yeah.
if you work on this self-compassion piece of feeling good about yourself and being there for yourself, you're going to figure out what will really make you feel good. So I would say, do the things that make you feel good and be your own supportive presence. Self-compassion is truly a life vest and a parachute. It's a life vest in that when you're going through a health crisis or, you have trouble with your partner or your kids or at work, you can give yourself that moment, do a self-compassion break. Just put your hand on your heart. Or maybe you're just looking at the elections and you're freaking out about what's going on in the world. You're looking at, the news media. It's another thing. It wants us to be in fear. It wants to turn on that amygdala part of our brain so that we want to get into these addictive behaviors of, eating too much or watching Netflix. We want to numb out. So just put your hand on your heart. Focus in the area of your heart, breathing a little slower and then deeper than usual, and just connect with that beautiful essence of who you are. Just down regulating your fight and flight, instead of maybe turning your phone off, turning the media off, setting some boundaries, just do some breath work or just again do some, supportive touch. If you're having a stressful day at work, take a walk outside in nature for a few minutes. So I think that setting boundaries with media, both in terms of your feed, how much you are spending time on your phone. It's okay to take a break. I'm taking a break right now from Instagram. I haven't posted in a couple of weeks because I was just like a little bit too much dog and pony show for me. I knew that's what I needed to do. Learn your own way that you respond best to life. Be your own supportive presence, and don't buy into all of the BS stories that you see online that are going to fix your problems. Looking at your shadow self, your problems as opportunities to grow and expand and be there for yourself.
Awesome. Yeah, I think so. Again, when I think about self-compassion, right? So that's mental well-being, right? So how does self-compassion relate to just achieving realistic wellness goals? And why do you think it's important to prioritize mental well-being in addition to physical well-being? I know, all of us today, I mean, of course, again, this is also social media, but then it's all about, these fitness goals, strength training, you're supposed to be running, you're supposed to be doing yoga, you're supposed to be doing so many physical things, right? So when you think about self-compassion, to me, that's part of your mental well-being, right? So how do you see that equation, the mental and the physical?
Well, first, I don't see them as separate. So I see the mental, the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual are all one. We are energetic beings. If you
Yep.
drill down to the quantum level, you see that we are energy. And I think what we're learning through quantum physics right now is that we are light. We are light beings. We're literally made of sunlight. We are a fractal of the divine. And so with self-compassion, you're holding yourself like you would a newborn baby, and you're also holding that divine spark that you are. And certainly, your mental, your emotional, your physical, all interrelated. If we're stressed out, we're producing cortisol.
Yeah.
It's telling our body that, to be in fight and flight. It's creating inflammation to prepare for danger. So they're all interwoven. And so what I work with my clients to do is, can we spend more time in in feeling good, the supportive emotions? I don't see emotions as good and bad, but I see emotions as lower vibration and higher vibration. So how can we notice when I am in anger, frustration, sadness, grief, and how can I be there with self-compassion in the difficult emotions? And then I look at it kind of as a grid. So we've got the difficult emotions on the left side, and we've got the more positive, both the upbeat positive, the joy, the excitement, and then the lower of like the peace, right? And the calm. And so how do we get on the right side of the grid? And I do a lot of this work with something I call heart math, where you are creating heart coherence. We did a little bit of that, tuning into your heart space, being a supportive presence, noticing when you're stressed out, and instead of like following that cortisol, shit show, like, oh, okay, how am I viewing what's happening? Like, I'll give you a simple example. I was going to the dentist yesterday, and there was I live in a little island, and there was a construction going on, and I was gonna be late. And I could have freaked out. I could have said, "Oh my God, I'm so stressed, I'm gonna be late." And I was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna turn on some music. I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna call the dentist and tell them I'm gonna be late." Yeah. Or I have another client. She had this revelation. The internet was down. And so she could have been like, "Oh my God, the internet's down. What am I going to do?" Or she could say, "Oh, the internet's down. I'm going to go outside and take a walk because I don't have to work
Exactly.
right now." But it's all the perspective that we have. So, I like to say the mind is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. So we need to get to know our bodies, our minds, where we're at emotionally. And it's all about spending more time on the right side of the grid. So trying to figure out when I'm noticing when I'm feeling anxious, when I'm feeling depressed, when I'm feeling sad, when I'm feeling angry, and I'm feeling frustrated, it's the universe telling you, okay, you need to make a shift.
Yep.
And so that's a lot of the work that I do with self-compassion and also with human design, of understanding what makes you tick. How do I get on that right side of the grid? What are the tools that I can use when we spend more time on the right side of the grid? So when we're in joy and excitement and exuberance and flow and peace and calm, everything just flows to us and life feels good.
Yeah.
So I think one of the most compassionate things we can do for ourselves is feel good. Give yourself permission to feel good. Eating the right foods. Like, I eat right because it feels good. I don't like the way it feels when I eat, a double cheeseburger and French fries and a soda. It doesn't make me feel good. I don't like the way I feel when I drink a lot of alcohol. So noticing what feels good and noticing, what thoughts feel good. It's not just food, but everything. What thoughts feel good? What relationships feel good? What work feels good to me? How do I raise my vibration? And by raising your vibration, you're also raising the vibration of the planet. And that's one of the biggest things, each and every single one of us. We sometimes look at the media and think, oh my God, what can I do when I look at the world and I see it's such a shit show? I can raise my own vibration. I can be the change, the good that I want to see in the world. And that really starts with each of us embracing ourselves. So my 7 steps are: know yourself, love yourself, energize yourself, reprogram your brain. So working on that mental aspect that you're talking about, that neuroplasticity, empowering yourself, going out there in the world and doing that thing that you're supposed to do, having that parachute of self-compassion, like, okay, I'm going to jump out of that plane. That's that thing I'm scared to do. Rehabbing your relationships, learning how not to be that people pleaser. And a lot of us, I think, are recovering people pleasers. And then enlightening yourself, making that connection of realizing, I am a divine spark. I am here to share something with the world. And how can I best do that and support that? It's like, I'm the seed, and what's the best environment, the best sunlight, the best food for who I truly am?
Wow. Oh my gosh, that was a lot of amazing information and a lot of practical strategies as well that you mentioned. And I would just like to add a couple of things just because I think I've experienced this and also heard from quite a few, which is, positive affirmations every day, if that helps, or even journaling, right, for that matter, where if you're just feeling overwhelmed, you're just getting all this negative talk, either just from people around you or social media or anything, right? Just trying to set that time, even 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, whatever that is, right? But a lot of your other, techniques that you mentioned as well, just mindfulness, just breathing, just pausing, right? I think makes so much difference in our lives. And this is a great topic. I know we can continue to keep talking, but I know we're over, 25 minutes here. But this has been an amazing conversation, Dr. Ellen. And before we conclude, I would love for you to share with the audience where they can find you and maybe just, share your book again and where they can find more information.
Okay, the book is Rock Your Midlife, and it's
Rock Your
on
Midlife.
Amazon. You can get the digital or the hard copy. My website is themidlifewhisperer.com. I'm also on Instagram at _midlife whisperer midlife _whisperer. But you can just Google the Midlife Whisperer and I will pop up. And if you are struggling, I'm always happy to do a free consultation. I'm now working with human design, which has been amazing when you understand your human design, you understand your unique genetic profile. It just really unlocks so much wisdom, and here to share self-compassion, and just go do you and take care of yourself because you love yourself, not because you want to look a certain way or be a certain weight. That always backfires, and we're coming from lack. So come from that supportive, beautiful place that is your home.
Thank you so much. And, the audience can stay tuned. We will have Dr. Ellen back on another episode to talk about, human design, because I'm definitely intrigued by that topic. But we can stay tuned for that one. Thank you so much again for taking this time.
You're welcome.